Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Logical Nonsense Podcast, episode 104. Down go the Chiefs. Down go the Chiefs dynasty, maybe. We'll see. But wow, 40-22. It was even worse than that, in my opinion, than what the scoreboard showed at the end of the game. Absolutely demolished. And the front line, O line was blocking. D line was just manhandling the Chiefs' offensive line. Then we've got trade frenzy, Luka Doncic, maybe the trade of the last 2 centuries. I don't know. One of the craziest trades I've ever seen among any sport. Going to get into that as well as some other of the trades, as well as some of our picks for dark horses for the rest of the season for the NBA, and just talking about the NBA in general. So first, let's start with the Super Bowl recap. Is this what you expected, Kaden?
No, but in a way, I thought the Eagles were the better team, but I thought it was going to be, obviously everyone thought it was going to be a lot closer than what we
Yeah.
saw. And this was just an absolute manhandling that the Eagles gave the Chiefs. And
Yep.
they were playing their best football at the end of the year. We saw that. And they kind of won in a way that we didn't think that they would win by. We thought
Yeah.
it was going to be ground and pound. And
Yep.
really, it was more of an air raid and defensive assault that led the Eagles to this win.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I like that it was an air raid. I know that was one of my keys last week, is I said that I think they need to go back to the air. When it comes to the run, they really did stop Saquon when it came to running. He was still a receiving threat, in my opinion, but he wasn't necessarily that rushing threat that he has been all season long, which I think was huge to shut that down. But it seemed like that was all their focus was on. And I think that hurt them in the end. Having guys like Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert really burn and turn them, which I didn't expect. I thought the Chiefs secondary was better than what it seemed like they played that game. Obviously, the Chiefs defense was on the field a lot, and I think that is super tough as a defense to be on the field way more than your offense. A lot of 3-and-outs, especially in the first half. So Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs offense did not help the defense out whatsoever. They had chances. There was a time where it was 7-0. They throw a pick. I was like, all right, the Chiefs have a chance to tie this up and kind of calm down the nerves of, oh shit, the Chiefs look like shit. And they didn't.
Yep.
I can't remember if it was a pick or if it was it might have been the Cooper DeJean pick. I could be wrong on that. But again, giving the ball back to the Eagles, and the Eagles capitalize on their turnovers just like I said they would. I think this might be one of Patrick Mahomes' worst performances we've ever seen. I think when we're thinking about quarterbacks and some of the worst performances in the Super Bowl, I think the last QB to perform this bad was either Jared Goff or Cam Newton. Do you think this is the worst QB performance in the Super Bowl?
It's pretty rough. He had 21 yards at halftime. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They had one first down, and we were talking about GOAT debate last week, and then that's the performance that we come out with. It was pretty bad. I think 2 Hail Mary touchdowns make the stat line look a lot better than it would have been.
Yep, exactly.
I think it's the Goff one was pretty bad too. I remember that game, but that was a close game at least the whole way. This one was just I think you could speculate that it was pretty rough. Even when he didn't have pressure in his face, Mahomes was missing passes. So I just think he got flustered early and never recovered until it was too far, too gone.
Yeah, someone as composed as Patrick Mahomes, to see him flustered like he was, I don't know, it reminded me of one of those CJ Stroud flustered games in a way. We haven't seen him perform like that in a long time. So it was really shocking to see. And I think, like I said, one of his worst performances. It's so interesting to hear. Obviously, you and I talked about GOAT conversation last week, and that was a serious conversation. A lot of people were putting him in those types of conversations and comments in different podcasts. And so to see the other side of that, pretty much it's conclusively that he's kind of out of the GOAT conversation right now. I still think eventually he could get there. However, I do think this performance does hurt his legacy in a lot of ways, because when it comes to GOAT talk and GOAT legacies and that kind of thing, these are the types of performances people will remember. in the championship game. Everyone's watching. It's one of the it is the most watched game on the season. Everyone has eyes on him. And so for him to perform like he did at such a big stage, I think is a huge hurt to his GOAT legacy status. Can he recover though? Do you think he can recover and get back to that
Yeah,
GOAT conversation?
absolutely. He's 28, right? Like
Yep.
Tom Brady went 10 years without
Yeah.
getting from ring to ring, so he's got plenty of time, plenty of years, and we'll see though. I'm interested to see the offseason for the Chiefs, if players retire, if players want to leave, kind of what they build around, because they're young defensively, but so there's some key pieces still missing
Yeah.
for them. I think they got away from their run game. I'm interested to see what they do there. They had one carry in the first half, I think, or something ridiculous like that too. They never got Pacheco
Yeah.
involved. Hunt, like, what do you want to do in your backfield? What are you going to do with the tight end position? Speculations on the Kelsey retirement. And so this could be a downfall of a dynasty, and I'm interested to see what Mahomes can do with new pieces.
Do you think two-part question here? Do you think Travis Kelce will retire, and do you think he should?
I think he still got it in him. I would
Yep.
like to see him go a couple more years. I think he's now, after that performance, wants a redemption year. I don't
Yeah,
think he wants to go out like that.
I agree.
I was disappointed in Kelsey in this game, honestly. I felt like he, every time they showed him on the sidelines, he was down, wasn't getting players fired up like I'm used to in
No,
previous seasons. He
no.
had no energy to him. He looked defeated. And then there were plays where Mahomes is running for his life and Kelsey's just standing there, not blocking, literally just standing there watching him run. I feel like he didn't try to get open. I feel like, I don't know, something was in his head. But
Yep.
I think this could be a redemption arc coming up for him. And I'd like to see it too.
Yeah, I like what you said. I think the body language of the Chiefs the entire game was just piss poor. It felt like this team had never been tested this year. And like when we look back on the season, it kind of almost makes sense, right? Like they were in a lot of close games, but they never got blown out, right? They never were that team that, somebody smoked them and they didn't know how that felt. And so I think a game like this exposed that kind of weakness of how do you respond in adversity when you're down 14-0, when you're down 21-0. Yes, Patrick Mahomes has been down by 24 points in the playoffs before, but that was what, 3-4 years ago? Like, I'm not saying that he forgets what that feels like, but it almost seemed like he did because the way they responded was not good. It seemed like they were pouting on the sideline. Like you said, nobody was energizing guys up, and it just felt like the energy was off. And I think it really did contribute to them not really ever formulating any sort of comeback. Because even in the third quarter, the Eagles were still in control. They were still making drives. And it really didn't take until pretty close to the end of the third quarter until the Chiefs got their first points,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
wild to think about because I did not expect that at all. To like if somebody were to tell me that the Chiefs weren't going to score until the 3 minutes left in the third quarter, I would not have believed them. Like that is
Yeah.
nuts. We've never seen that this season. So it was wild. It was a weird game. I think one of the weirdest Super Bowls I've seen. There's been a lot of weird ones. Obviously, as a Broncos fan, I remember Super Bowl with the Seahawks first snap going over Peyton Manning's head. That was a weird one, right? But it felt like the Broncos were still fighting. That sounds weird to say. I mean, yes, they couldn't ever really get anything going, but at least it felt like players were trying.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know. It just didn't feel like players were trying in
Nope.
this game on the Chiefs. It was a weird game.
Mhm. No, I agree. The energy was off. It's like they've been there before and they didn't care enough. They're
Yeah,
like, oh, well, we're happy with our, 2 rings from the last 2 years kind of thing. Felt like they got a little bit of a specialized treatment. And for the Eagles, it was like they're back. They're here for revenge. It's go time. You could tell like they prepared on every aspect way better than the Chiefs did. Out coached, out physicaled, out schemed,
out
which is something that
physical.
doesn't happen to the Chiefs a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. No, I honestly did not realize how big the Eagles O
Yeah.
line was until they were showing those stats. Average of 6'6", 335. That is fucking ridiculous. Like that's almost unfair, man. That is crazy work. I don't know who is the GM or who's making those decisions for their O line, but they did a damn good job. My goodness, man. And shout out that, and I think that's why their offense can perform the way they do. All season long they were able to run the ball down people's throats, and I think that's a big reason why. I also think that's why Jalen Hurts was able to pass this game too. So let's talk about Jalen Hurts. What did you think of his performance and how he led during this game?
I think he played a pretty much perfect game besides the errant interception in the first quarter. Yeah, besides that,
Which seems
guy in
like
your face.
nerves to me.
Yeah, guy in your face trying to make a play on third down, trying to avoid a sack. I get it. Didn't see the safety undercut that. But besides that, Saquon couldn't get going in the run game. Hurts had a very impactful game running the ball.
Yeah.
And then you're just getting the ball out quick, the ball to your guys. And he had some nice deep passes. The one to Devontae was perfect.
Yeah.
AJ Brown on the sideline a couple times.
Yep.
He put the ball where it needed to be. He didn't really force any errors besides the interception.
Yeah.
And this is when he can play in a comfortable game like this, that's when he's at his best. Like not when he's flustered like early season games when he has to make something happen, but when everything just kind of comes together. And it felt like the Eagles, and I'll give credit to Kellen Moore here for setting him up like this too. Whenever the Chiefs brought something, they were ready for it. It seems like the Chiefs just couldn't ever get a little sneak blitz or some kind of stunt in when they wanted to. It was just always picked up by the Eagles.
Which is abnormal for a Spagnuolo defense, right? Like Spagnuolo is like one of those gurus of somebody who can just kind of sneak in those blitzes when it matters, those crucial moments. And it felt like you said, they had an answer for everything. They came prepared. We talked last week about the Chiefs being prepared. Eagles were prepared for this game. So good job on game planning. Good job for Vic Fangio, great defensive coordinator. And, hoping that the Eagles can find a new offensive coordinator with Kellen Moore going to the Saints, because I think this offense can thrive for some time. With behind this O-line with Saquon, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. So who knows? Maybe we got another dynasty brewing. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy talk. We'll see. So we talked about legacy with Jalen Hurts. Do you think this changes the perception of Jalen Hurts at all?
I think this is very impactful to his legacy. You see, like we were talking about how it would hurt if he lost it, but because Philly fans are so ruthless. But to go out, beat Mahomes in a fashion like this, that's huge for him. Get that Super Bowl ring, and now it feels like the ceiling is elevated for him to what people thought it could be. So now you're talking about a quarterback that can lead a team back here. It seems easily. They're got to be the favorites next year to make a run at it again. And so for him, if he can play football like this, totally flipped what we saw early season and, in years past with the turnovers. Now it's controlled football.
Yeah. No, it feels like he's quietly becoming more and more respected. And I feel like he's quietly getting better as well. The turnovers came down this year early on. Like we said, they were a little bit of an issue, but they've come down. And I think if he can continue to take care of the ball and just play like he did in that game, and play with confidence, I don't see why Jalen Hurts can't continue to be better and can't continue to be a good leader, because he is a good leader. I think a lot of people don't give him that credit. At the end of the day, regardless of passing ability or rushing ability, I think he is a very good leader and he knows how to lead a team. And I think we saw that in this Super Bowl. Cooper DeJean pick 6, man. What about that? That was crazy, huh?
Nuts. Just sat on that. That was awesome to see. I thought he was going to get tackled at like the 5, but got in. How birthday, first career touchdown. Pretty special moment, especially for all, white cornerbacks, like kids growing up. Right?
Know,
like you don't get to see that very often anymore, which is awesome. So that was a crazy play. Completely flipped the game on its head at that point because it was 10-0, made it 17-0, and it was like, oh, here we go. Eagles are dominating, and he played really good most of that game too. Besides letting Worthy get one kind of deep on him at the end, but besides that, great tackling, great in coverage, didn't let anyone get anything going. And the Eagles draft so good. It's
I was
ridiculous.
just about to say that.
Oh my God.
I mean, in the last 2 years alone, Jalen Carter, I believe that was that was 2 years ago. Jalen Carter, and now you've got Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell in the same class. Like that is just like that is hitting on every single pick you have. And those aren't early picks. Like those are good, late round picks. So good on the Eagles for taking care of their drafting skills. They really hit on both of those years for sure. Sirianni, what do you think of him now?
Man, I still don't like the guy. I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way still as a Cowboys fan. I hate giving
Yeah.
Eagles so many props, but no, I thought he had a good, really well coached game. A lot of credit to him. Was his 4th or 5th year, 2 Super Bowls already, like we talked about. To win one puts him up there. I think he's a good coach. He rallies guys around him. You can tell he cares about his players a lot, which is something cool. He's a very emotional guy, but I'd play for him. So I think he rallied and he did what he needed to do, and he's built something special in Philly.
Yeah. Do you think we can talk about the Chiefs rationally now? What I mean by that is I feel like when we talk about Super Bowls, when we talk about playoffs, all you ever hear nowadays is like, but it's the Chiefs. Can you really ever count them out? Do you think people will start talking about them rationally now and actually just choosing who the better team is? Or is there still some of that dynasty magic still?
I still think there's a little bit of that. It's the Chiefs. Like, you don't want to play the Chiefs. You know what they're fully capable of. And like we said, this is the first time they got dominated.
Yep.
So it's like, maybe
it's
a little
doable,
bit light.
Though.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing with a lot of dynasties is once they get beat once, there builds a little bit of a recipe on how to beat them. And this is the same thing we saw when the Bucks beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Is the same kind of recipe the Eagles brought here. Pressure Mahomes, get him flustered. But I think, there's a script to beat them. They're not unbeatable, but it's still the Chiefs, and they still have Mahomes, and they still have Andy Reid and weapons. So it's not like it's going to get any easier, but there's a little bit of hope.
Yeah, and you kind of touched a little bit on it. What do you think the Chiefs need to do in the offseason to ensure that they can continue on this sort of dynasty?
I think if you can get Kelsey to stay, that's probably key 1. Key 2, I thought their O-line was good, and now I have some questions and some doubts about what you want to do there.
They need at least a tackle.
Yeah.
At least a tackle. Yeah.
A tackle. Receivers, I think that's probably key 2, though, for me.
Yep.
I think they're fine defensively. I just think their defense was on the field way too much. Get players tired, get out-physicaled. I think maybe another piece on the line. But I think receivers is probably number 1. They didn't use Xavier Worthy until the end of the game. I think he's a great player.
He had an incredible second half.
Yeah, besides that, I think you need a guy that can play on the other side of the field with him to comp. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Xavier Worthy, they'll have Rashee Rice back, who I think was a huge developing player. We'll see how he comes back from injury. But I agree. I think they need in my opinion, they're still missing that wide receiver 1. There's not that like concrete wide receiver 1 guy that Mahomes can go to. It used to be Kelsey. Kelsey's been too inconsistent. I don't think you can rely on him every single game anymore. Unfortunately, as great as he has been, as great as his career has been, I think they need a concrete number 1. They need to go get it. They need to go find it. I don't know if it's in free agency, maybe a guy like T. Higgins. I don't know, but they need to go get somebody who can be a wide receiver 1 and be somebody they can rely on in crucial downs and crucial games. All right. Well, speaking of the Super Bowl, this is a hip hop podcast as well. What did you think of the halftime performance? There has been a mixture of emotions, and I mean, people either love it or hate it, or they say it's mid. It is very wild to me. Want to hear your opinion as, you're a little bit of a hip hop guy, maybe not like the biggest hip hop guy, but you're a hip hop guy. So what did you think of Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance?
Personally, I really liked it. I thought it hit on a lot of levels. I think the simplicity compared to other Super Bowls, to me, really elevated it. Like, there was a lot going on, but it wasn't big stage and big flashing lights and, 25 guest stars and all this and that. I like the choreography a lot. Red, white, and blue, the America themed. when they cut to the one part where he was singing in front of the light post with all the people behind him, I really liked that part. And then obviously, you got to get your digs in at Drake. Sorry, Drake. I don't know how it feels to have 5 Grammys in a Super Bowl performance, on a diss track wrote on you, but that's pretty tough. Yeah. Just screw it. I'll pay however much you want to sue me. Here you go. Everyone knows now. But I really liked it. And I think the people that don't like it just don't listen to Kendrick. They're just not fans of hip hop.
Yeah.
The demographic of people that watch Super Bowl or probably don't align very much with what they've seen in the past. Usually it's a star with like 4 or 5 big radio songs that everyone knows, so then it's more likable. Not a lot of people really knew, I'd say, much of Kendrick if you haven't heard him before. So I think that's where the hate comes from. But I didn't think it was as bad as some people made it out to be. I enjoyed it.
I do. I agree with you. I thought it was a really good performance. Like you said, I like the simplicity of it. I also thought there was a lot of hidden messages, just like Kendrick's music. I thought there was a lot of hidden messages that a lot of people didn't pick up on, especially if you're not a Kendrick fan, right? Like you kind of got to be looking out for those. It's kind of like one of those movies you watch and they're like, throwing in those little foreshadowing throughout the movie. And if you don't pick up on it, it's probably not the greatest movie for you because you never picked up on it in the first place. I think that was similar to Kendrick's performance. I thought it was a really well put together, well thought out performance. I think he only played like 6 or 7 songs, but I think it was meaningful. And I thought like him teasing, like we've never seen somebody tease a song he's going to play before he plays it. And I thought that was fucking dope. Like that was so dope. And having the talking in between, like with the different side characters, like with the ladies, and then was it Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah. Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson
Uncle Sam, baby.
playing as Uncle Sam. I thought that was super cool as well. I don't know. I thought it was really well thought out. I thought he did a great job. And then you got the PlayStation controller too, which is so funny because PlayStation went out, right? Like right before the Super Bowl, which is just kind of wild. The timing on that, I don't know if that was planned before that went out. I don't know. There could be conspiracies on that, just low key on the side. But I thought it was a great performance. I thought he brought the energy. He did a great job bringing out SZA. He honestly, like you said, I like that he didn't do too much. I feel like sometimes people try too hard, in my opinion. Like I didn't love Usher's performance last year, if I'm being honest. I thought it was a little too much. I thought there was too much going on. Like you got all these side characters coming in and performing, and like just focus on what you want to perform. And I thought he did a great job at sticking to his craft, sticking to what he stands for. And I don't know, people can say what they want, but I will never forget the Super Bowl where Kendrick Lamar stared directly into the camera, smiled, and said, "Hey Drake, I hear you like I'm young." Like, come on, man. That is iconic. That is dirty. Like, that is just straight up dirty. He straight up dissed a man at the Super Bowl performance in front of 120 million viewers, the most viewers of a halftime show of all time. And you're going to tell me that's mid? No. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. No, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it all.
Yeah. I know. And I like to think back on other halftime performances when I was comparing. Like Rihanna's, I think if she wasn't pregnant, it probably would have been a lot better. I still liked hers a lot. But then there's like The Weeknd. I was not a fan of that one. That one gave me a headache. That was too much.
It was a trippy performance.
Like Katy Perry it was too much. Like I thought it was good, but it was like the visuals I thought were way too much. J-Lo, I thought theirs was good, but they brought too many other people into theirs. Like I don't know. I think just comparatively, I just like this one more than like the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and I think people are probably going to call me a Kendrick Glazer for that. I don't care. Whatever. But like I just said, every performance you just spoke on, right? What were the iconic moments that you remember from those?
Left Shark.
Was there one?
Left Shark, Katy Perry.
Yeah, like exactly. There was one out of all those performances listed out. And that's my point, is like he made an iconic moment that I think a lot of people will remember, even if you're not a Kendrick fan. And I think that means something. And in my opinion, that means you succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a big fan of it. And yeah, a lot of people I think were also just mad because they wanted Lil Wayne personally. So whatever. And I understand the argument for that. This was Kendrick Lamar's year though. Like it just was.
Mm-hmm.
He just had a fantastic year from the Grammys to the diss tracks to the album. He had a fantastic year. In my opinion, this was just like his fucking victory lap around the fucking world. So good for Kendrick Lamar. All right, let's get into NBA. Have not really talked about the NBA at all. We didn't even do an NBA over-unders pod, which I am very sad about. I'm sad that I missed that opportunity. But here we are. It is NBA season. The NFL is over, sadly. But now we get into basketball, which is a very fun sport. Always something entertaining going on, from the storylines to the trades to the free agency drama to the benching and the injuries. First things first, we have still not talked about the Luka Anthony Davis trade. What is your reaction to this trade?
I thought Shams got hacked when it first dropped.
A lot of people thought Shams got hacked,
too, because I was like, no way. The Mavs just made the finals last year. They just added Klay Thompson, and they were playing pretty decent this year. Kyrie's looking good. And Luka, is dealing with a little health issue a little bit earlier in the year, but he's still was putting up ridiculous numbers when he was playing. And I was like, why would the Mavs do this? That you literally have the face of the league on your roster for the next 10 years. And then I was like, okay, Anthony Davis he's all right. They must have gotten like 8 first-round picks or something with him, 1 first round. And that was a big surprise to me also in the trade. I didn't understand. 80 and a first.
They gave up basically nothing.
Yeah, the Rudy Gobert got 4 first-round picks, for God's sake.
Not even Rudy Gobert. What's his name? The Knicks player. I can't think of his name right now.
Bridges. Yeah.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
5.
5. Oh,
5 for Mikal Bridges.
I know. So
Luka Doncic gets 1, and Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we talking about here?
And I love Anthony Davis, great defensive player. He's a very solid player.
Yeah.
He's not close to Luka. I'm sorry.
No.
He does not. I don't see him gelling well with the Mavs more than Luka did.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And for the Lakers, this is awesome. This is the best trade you could possibly get, right?
Yep.
You gave up nothing, and you have the face of your team to build around for the next 10 years when LeBron retires.
LeBron's going to be gone soon. So
I think there's a lot of talk for the Lakers about, building around AD, and that's kind of difficult to do. AD's injury prone, and it's hard to build around bigs, besides like Jokic. It's tough to do. So, but a guy like Luka that can play 1 through 4,
totally,
it's deadly. And they're probably 2 pieces away in the next couple off seasons away from being legit title contenders again with him. I think next year will probably be their big all out, with LeBron's probably final season.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand it for the Mavs at all.
I don't either. I don't really understand the vision. There's been a lot of talk about them wanting to win in the now. I think Luke is a better option in the now and in the future, if I'm being honest. I understand Anthony Davis is a much better defensive player than Luka Doncic, but you still got to have some sort of offense, right? Like, it can't just all be defense. And yes, Kyrie, it can be that guard on offense, but I also am of the opinion that Kyrie doesn't perform well as a number 1. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't think it is. We saw it in Boston. Didn't really work out. I think he's a better support guy than he is a number 1 guy. And I think trading away Luka and putting in Anthony Davis. I know Anthony Davis can put up numbers on offense. I'm not disregarding that. But I still think Kyrie kind of almost moves into the position of where it might be kind of his team now. And I don't know if I love that for the Mavs. So I agree. I don't think it makes sense in the now. I don't think it makes sense in the future, especially not getting back what I think they deserve to get back. like who'd they get? Max Christie, Anthony Davis, and a first round. I think that's it.
Pretty much. Yeah,
And
some other
they
stuff with the
gave up more
Jazz.
players too. Like
Yeah.
Luka, oh my god, dude. It's mind-boggling. It doesn't make sense for the Mavs. I don't know. There's been a lot of talks about Luka and his health and his weight, but like you
Yeah.
said, he still puts up numbers. He still plays when he's out on the floor, he is still a top 3, top 4, at the very worst, a top 5 player in the NBA
Mhm.
right now. And I think that says something. Like you said, he made it to the finals last year. If it's not broke, don't fucking fix it.
Mhm. I know. Yeah, it's crazy. It feels gross to see him in a Lakers jersey as a Celtics
Oh, it's
fan. It
so
just doesn't
gross.
feel
It's
weird.
so
It's
gross.
so
I mean,
weird. And like,
I'm not even like
uh,
well, I'll say. I mean, I am a Lakers hater, so
uh,
maybe it is. I don't know. I get
uh,
tired of all the Lakers
I
attention,
know.
but it's like
Uh,
they get away with it over and over again,
uh,
man. Like
yeah.
these stupid fucking trades, like Pagasol way back when, right? Like that
Mhm.
trade was wild. So now they get,
Uh,
oh my god, dude, it's just
yeah. It feels like there's something else behind the scenes, big time with Luka, because they are. Oh, he's
there has
270.
to be, right?
He did not look 270 in his Lakers
No,
photo op. He looked like 230. He's 6'8". Like, come on, something went wrong behind the closed doors. Something with the GM, because there's the only trade partner with the Lakers. Also felt a little fishy to me. Like, why had no other teams get to
yeah,
have a conversation? Like,
them saying that they have to
I'm
keep
sure
it
the
extremely private.
yeah,
Yeah,
like I'm sure the Celtics would give up Tatum in a first for Luka. Like, I would
yeah.
not something like I'm sure the Thunder would have given up 10 first round picks for Luka,
Oh, totally. Yeah.
right? Like, and their concern of, oh, we don't want to pay him a supermax, so you're going to pay 3 average players the same amount of salary
Oh, it
than the
doesn't make
best
any
player in the
sense.
league. It's just
I was just about to
so
say, like,
crazy on every
arguably one of
level.
the best players in the league. That's
Yeah,
what you do.
yeah,
That's what you do when he is
yeah.
what, 24?
It-
I'm pretty sure he's under 25.
yeah.
Like what? Pay him the fucking supermax.
Hmm.
Don't be cheap
Yep.
fucks. Like
Yeah.
he is the face of your
Hmm.
team. Your fans absolutely love him. It makes 0 sense.
Hmm.
Absolutely 0 sense for the Mavs. It's interesting too cuz I heard my first defender of the Mavs. It was actually on my way to the airport. And it was my Uber driver. He was saying that he thinks that it does make sense for the Mavs in the now, not in the future, but in the now. What do you think?
I don't. I still say no, because with that trade now, the Thunder are better than you. I thought they were anyway, but the Thunder are better than you. The Nuggets are better than you. I think the Lakers are better than you now because of
Yep.
that trade. So if you want to win now, then you got to put yourself in a position to be one, and I think you put yourself in a position to be probably 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So I just don't see them making it past the second round of the playoffs when they were just at the finals last year. And
Yeah.
this is just a down move in every aspect of the way.
I think it would be absolute entertainment if they met in the playoffs.
God, please.
Oh, I would love that. Do you think the Lakers are a title contender right now? I know you kind of talked about title contender in a few years. Do you think they're a title contender this year?
I'm gonna say no, just because of how stacked I think the West is. I think conference finals is the ceiling. I think
Yeah.
second round is probably where they go. Second to conference finals. For
Yep.
me, I just they have they have LeBron, they have Luka, they have Austin Reeves, but I think they're missing a big now. They're defensively, they don't play as much defense. I think they struggle there. And I just don't see them getting up and down with a team like the Thunder or the Nuggets, maybe.
Yeah.
I think they're good. I think they'll be a solid top 3 team, top 4 team in the West, but I still think they're missing a piece or two.
Holy shit. Sorry. Did the Dalton Connect trade get like vanished?
Okay. So yeah, it got rescinded because Mark Williams, the guy from the Hornets,
Failed
failed
his
his
physical,
physical.
right?
Yeah, so
So
that
I was just about
if
to talk about that, but I didn't
yep,
realize it fell
no,
through. That's
yeah,
crazy.
if they would have got him, I think that elevates him. Mark Williams, he's a young guy. He puts up
So you
like
like the
20 and
trade,
10. I like the Mark Williams or the yeah, I like the trade for him. It
even
sucks
with
to give
getting
up.
rid of Dalton Connect.
I think it sucks to get rid of Connect. He's so young and he's such like when he's on, he's on. I like
Yeah.
the way he plays, but it made sense to me because you needed a big man at the time, and I know it's a future piece, but if I think they're in win now mode also, which would have probably got them there. But now
Okay.
you put yourself in a weird position, right? Because now Dalton Connect doesn't want to play. You tried to trade me. Why would
Yeah.
I come back and play for you? Like, fuck you guys. Fuck you
Facts,
guys.
bro.
So now it's
Yeah.
awkward. And they had picked up Alex Len, off
Oh,
of
okay.
waivers. But
I don't think he does much.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, they need big guys, but Alex Len is not the
yeah,
answer. Huh.
yeah,
That's wild. I didn't realize it fell through because I was
yeah,
literally just about to talk that trade. I pull it up and I'm reading through it and I'm like, what the fuck, Robert?
yeah,
What? He failed his
yeah.
physical? I didn't even know
Mm-hmm.
that was a thing. So that's
Yeah.
wild. Wild. Okay. Let's talk about some other trades. De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs. I believe also a part of that trade was Zach LaVine to the Kings. Correct
Yep.
me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that trade and
Um,
how it works for everyone?
I'll start with the Spurs. I absolutely love it for the Spurs. I think this is what they needed.
Yep.
Another guy that's explosive, play around Wembanyama. Like now, I think Chris Paul can play his role instead of
Yeah,
being like a
I
true
agree.
point. He can just be that assist god that we know
Yep.
he is. And Fox has been playing well with the Spurs in their first couple games,
Yep.
and they're better than they were last year. I think a lot of us thought that they would be now that they've developed a year with Wembanyama. I'd like to see Wembanyama play more of a post than just chucking up threes all the
Yep.
time. But I think the Spurs are where we thought they'd be right now, an improving team, and this is a huge piece for them. Fox is still young,
Yep.
so I really like it from there. It makes total sense to me on their end. And for the Kings, I feel bad for Kings fans in a way. Like you
Yeah, they
had
lost the
you
coach who was really
yeah,
good.
2 years ago, 3 years ago, you were one game away from beating the Warriors and making the conference
Yep.
finals. And your coach of the year, you fired. Your best player that's given everything for the last 8 years is gone. You just got DeRozan too, which it was kind of not working out really, but they had the roster. It felt like Fox, Sabonis, DeRozan, Malik Monk, like they
Yeah.
have pieces, and it just kind of fell apart. And it sucks for like Sacramento fans because they were so bad for so long that finally felt like they were putting the pieces together, and now it just feels like they're kind of a mid team
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, and it's a weird spot for Zach LaVine too. I don't know. It's just like you said, it feels like a falling apart team. Like I don't know if he necessarily got into a better situation than what he was in Chicago. Um, so I'm very interested in seeing
Mhm.
what the Kings' game plan is in the
Yeah.
offseason. I just feel like there's so much. I don't know. There's not a lot of great things going on for the Kings, like you kind of mentioned. I really also like it for the Spurs. I think a guy like or not DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox will really speed up the game, I think, in a lot of ways. And I think the Spurs need more versatility in the way they play, and I think De'Aaron Fox provides that. I don't know if they're a playoff team this year. Maybe they sneak into the in what the fuck is that called?
Playing.
Play-in game. Thank you. Maybe they sneak in a play-in game, but if not, I think, next year they got a real shot. Like I actually think a guy like De'Aaron Fox could I don't know, I just really like the role that they're putting him in. I think him and Wemby and Chris Paul, if Chris Paul continues to play next year, I don't know. I really like it. I think th- things are looking up for the Spurs, and I think they already kind of thought they were looking up, but I think this just kind of cements that with getting De'Aaron Fox and kind of being a side guy for them. So I really like it. All right, next trade we got Brandon Ingram to the Raptors. One of the weirdest trades.
Yeah. I,
What do you think?
I don't know how I feel about this because he hasn't been healthy a lot the
Yep.
last couple of years. And then he goes to the Raptors and he just signed a $120 million extension, without even playing. So it's just the Raptors got so much money to give away. I
Yeah,
I don't know
I
it
don't even
because
know if it makes sense for the
I
Raptors though
know
either.
I
That's
don't
the
get it
thing.
either because Raptors they had a bunch of young players and they're like gelling, so they're as bad as I thought they'd be with who they had starting.
Yeah.
So it's not like this move is going to bump them into a playoff contender. We don't really know if it sets them up for the future that well.
Yep.
Really either. The failed experiment, I think, for the Pelicans, Brandon Ingram, McCollum, Zion, kind of
Yeah.
what they were trying to build never really came to fruition.
No.
Like there was a moment where it was really good at first, and then it just injuries derailed, and
Ingram and McCollum too. I just felt
uh,
like when it was like crucial games or games they had to win, like they never
uh,
came through and played like they should have or played to their
uh,
potential. And Zion was always fucking hurt, man. He
yeah,
still is. Like
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like the guy never plays.
uh,
Like
when
you
I
said,
yeah
injuries just continue to
when
haunt
I
that team.
yeah when I heard the trade, I was just like, huh, all right, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I don't
just
really know.
one of
It's just
those
an
where you
indifferent.
shrug and you're like, huh, I
Uh,
don't know if I like
yeah,
that, but
yeah,
okay.
it is what. Yeah, weird. We'll see, but I don't think it made any team better. I don't really think it made any team worse. But the Raptors got a little bit better. Probably won the trade, but it
Yep.
was a weird one.
Jimmy Butler to the Warriors.
You know, I was sitting there at work and I was talking to my coworker. He's also a Celtics fan. And I went, any team that I want Jimmy to go to, anyone but the Warriors. Next thing, probably 10 minutes later on my phone, ESPN. Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. I hate it as a Celtics fan. Like, I know he gets out of the East, but I think it's the piece the Warriors needed, honestly.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, because I think the Warriors are got to win now kind of mode
Yeah.
with what they got. And so a guy like Jimmy, we know what he can do to teams, how he
Yeah.
elevates teams, especially come playoff time. And the
True.
Warriors were on the brink of play in. They're 2-0 with him already. And he wanted out of Miami. I think he's going to play with a new energy on the
Definitely.
Warriors.
Not gonna
I
be
lo-
that toxic boyfriend energy type of
yeah,
shit that
I
he's been
still
playing with the Heat.
I still think I hated the way he treated the Heat
I
and like that whole
I
relationship. I don't understand it. I hated
he's
it.
just weird. He's a
Yeah,
weird guy, man.
yeah. I, it is super weird. I don't know. He definitely elevates the Warriors, but I'm surprised the Heat weren't petty and just didn't trade him and made him sit out the whole year and just said fuck you. Like we have your contract. Like you want to be a bitch to us, then have
Yeah.
fun being on the bench.
Feels like
But
a Pat Riley thing to do too.
yeah, but they got Wiggins and I think a first maybe out of it.
Yeah, they
Got
got the Heat got Wiggins, Kyle Anderson,
they got
Davion Mitchell in a first.
yeah. So
Pretty good package.
yeah, I think it's pretty fair trade both ways. You give up a guy that doesn't want to play for you for players that can at least benefit your team a little bit. The Heat are definitely not contenders
No,
now at all. Like they'll
no.
probably be a 9,
They're
8,
a
9
rebuild
somewhere.
team in my opinion
Yeah,
now, so
which I never really thought they were super good, but Jimmy just always brought them to that level. So
yep. You could
the
never
West,
count out the Heat
yeah,
with Jimmy on
yeah,
that team.
the
They always
West
snuck into
gets.
play in, and then they
Mhm,
always were that
you're
team
right.
that kinda scared the shit out of you when
Yep,
you saw you were playing them, so I get
yep.
it.
But now the West,
Um, sorry, go ahead.
the West is loaded now. All the
Yeah.
East stars just seem to find their way over to the West
Yep,
somehow. Oh,
yep.
crazy.
Um, what do you think of the fit of Jimmy Butler on the Warriors, though? Do you like it?
Kinda. He kind of feels like another Draymond type in a way,
Okay,
like a physical bruiser. But
'kay.
I don't know. I think it opens Steph up a little bit more. I think
Yeah,
Steph's been kind of struggling
definitely.
this season, not having other guys around him to help facilitate or, create separation from him. He can play his game more. But like it's easy to just, oh, we don't have to guard anyone else on the team but Steph. It's hard to play basketball. But when you got a guy like Jimmy, you got to shift your defenses to him as well. And
Yep.
it just opens things up for the Warriors. So I think he'll fit good. He's a big defensive piece. We know what he can do there. We know how he can bring, offense too. I think he fits well. I think I know. I think he'll be someone you can build on too if the relationship works.
Yeah.
As
Yeah, that was my only thing is I feel like Jimmy, now that he's gotten a taste of being the number one, I don't
yeah,
know how he'll handle that because I like Steph definitely that's definitely Steph's team, and so that was like my
uh,
only question with
mm,
the trade. I still think it makes them better. I still think overall the Warriors benefit from this trade, but the fit was my only question with this one, and so that's why I asked you. your opinion on the fit. You might have convinced me a little bit,
Yeah,
maybe opening up Steph and being that kind of bruiser kind of guy, but we'll see. I mean, he's been the number 2 in the past. So I'm not saying he's not capable of it, but I think as long as he can adjust to that, and they'll be fine. They'll be a contender for sure. So, all right, next trade. Cavs for DeAndre Hunter. And the Cavs give up Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, 3 second-round picks, and a 2-pick swap.
I don't really know how I feel about this one. They really, break too many headlines.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised the Cavs made a move.
Yeah, I was too.
They only have 10 losses
They have
this year.
such good chemistry
Yeah,
this year
Niang
too.
is playing really good. I thought this year.
Yep.
LeVert's always been solid.
Yep.
I don't know. I kind of don't like this trade, honestly. I don't like the Cavs shifting what they have going this year.
I agree.
So.
I agree wholeheartedly. I thought it was weird to kind of mix up your team chemistry when it doesn't really need to be mixed up. I didn't really expect them to be one of the teams to go out and make a trade during the deadline. I didn't think they needed like one more piece or anything like that. So I was a little shocked by this one for sure. All right, next trade. Bucks getting Kyle Kuzma and giving up Chris Middleton to the Wizards.
I feel bad for Chris Middleton in this one.
Too.
Go from the Bucks to the Wizards. Pretty tough.
That's brutal. That's pretty brutal.
Especially when, everyone was hurt last year and you won 2 games against the Pacers by yourself, like pretty much trying to keep them afloat.
He can be that guy, man.
I know. He's had a couple rough seasons though, injury-wise. He's had cold spurts. I just don't know if Kuzma is much
I
better.
don't think he's that big of an upgrade.
Yeah,
That's what I didn't understand about it.
He's younger and maybe you can get him to fit and gel better in your system. But I like Chris Middleton. I think
do too.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like it that much. I felt bad for Chris and then Kuzma airballs his first free throw attempt with the Bucks. That was pretty funny. I don't know. The Bucks are weird to me because
they're a weird
feel like they're not competitive team.
Yeah.
With all the Stardust.
They seem like they should be a threat, but they're really not that big of a threat. So it's kind of a weird situation for them. But yeah, I agree. I liked Chris Middleton. I personally, people might not agree with me, but I actually liked Middleton more than Kuzma. I've never been a big Kuzma guy. I just feel like he's, I don't know. There's just something about him. I just feel like he's one of those guys who can play really well in the regular season, but come playoff time, I don't know. He just, or crucial moments. I just personally feel like a guy like Middleton, who's been on that team for so long, I think it's personally better to keep him, but maybe the Bucks saw different. Maybe they felt like they needed change. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it will work out for him, but yeah, poor Middleton. All right. Hornets getting Yusuf Nurkic.
I don't know. I like Nurkic. I think he'll be a decent piece, but the Hornets are still, I think, pretty far away from where they want to be. LaMelo's been playing good basketball. It's fun to watch, but I think it's a good addition for them. I just still think they're pretty far away, but it's definitely an upgrade from what they had.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Try to see if there's any other. Am I missing? Can you think of any ones that like big ones that I'm missing?
Not off the top of my head. I think we got all the big ones.
Yeah, those were pretty much the biggest ones. Is this the craziest trade deadline you've ever seen?
Just by the Luka trade, I think yes. I mean, I think it was pretty crazy. Fox, Luka, Middleton, Jimmy. Yeah, I think this is one of the, because there was like not a lot of moves, and then it was just bang,
one after the other.
Go, yep.
Yeah.
And then the funniest part about it is, all these players are getting traded. And I go through ESPN, and then a picture of Chet Holmgren pops up, and I was like, no way, the Thunder got rid of him. And it goes coming back from injury. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Okay, well, let's go over the season so far, some of your thoughts, who you think are the contenders in both the East and the West?
No, in the East, obviously the Celtics are a contender. I don't think they're playing to their full capabilities right now. They always have
No.
someone injured. So, they start the season hot and then they just kind of let games get away, but they haven't had their full starting five in most games. Pritchard off the bench has been ridiculous this year though. He's going to win six man. He's been insane.
Yep.
The Cavs, ridiculous start.
Yeah.
But to me, I don't really see the Cavs as a contender, to be honest. I
They
think
they feel like one of those regular season teams, but not a
they
postseason
feel like
team.
a
Yep.
Jazz, the Jazz a
Yeah,
couple years ago, and they're the
exactly.
one seed. That's how they feel to me. Like they're good. Donovan Mitchell's good. They have good chemistry. They play well together. But in a 7-game series, man, I don't see them beating the Celtics, the Bucks, the Knicks,
Yep.
like
I
that.
agree.
I
I agree.
also, I don't know. I really feel like the East is just weak compared to the West, so it's hard to be like
I
these are
agree.
top contenders. Like the Knicks are on paper a good team, but when I watch them play it a lot of the times, I don't feel like they're NBA champs team. Or the
Yeah.
Bucks this year, I don't feel like they're NBA champ teams. So I feel
I'd
like
be curious to see
it's the
who think
Celtics
remains.
East to lose this
Yeah.
year. And then in the West, absolutely stacked.
Yep.
The Thunder are ridiculous.
Yep.
Like they play every game to just demolish you, and it doesn't
Yeah.
matter who's on the floor. They
And I think
don't
they're a
ever.
real threat this year.
Yeah, they've got experience. They do not take their foot off the gas. They're scary. The
On both sides of the
Nuggets,
ball too.
yeah, the Nuggets I think are playing a lot better than they started the year with, trying to gel pieces
Yep.
together. Christian Brown has played ridiculous this year,
Yep.
stepping up that role. Michael Porter Jr. has been on a tear lately. Jokic is getting his thing together. His stats just increase every year somehow. And I think you have a fun little MVP race between Shea and Jokic right now. So we'll see how
Yeah.
that's a conversation that would be interesting to get into, break down their stats because they're both playing just elite basketball at
Yep.
the moment. The Lakers, contenders out of nowhere now. You
Yep.
can never count out a LeBron team, especially with Luka.
Yep.
Uh, Timberwolves are taking a step back.
Yeah.
Mavs have taken a step back. So
What
I
do you
really
think about
think
like a team like the Grizzlies or the Rockets?
I'm not sold on either of them. I think they're
Yeah.
regular season merchants also, especially the Rockets. We saw this last year with them. They had a really good start to the regular season, and
Sengun's been playing good though.
they
I will give him that. Like I agree with you. I don't think they're postseason threats,
uh,
but Sengun, I gotta give
yeah.
him credit.
I think they're better than they were last year by far, and I think Ime's a great coach. But
Yep.
I feel like they're going to get in a tough first round matchup. Maybe they get out, but then they get blown out in the second round, kind of team. The Grizzlies, this is the Grizzlies team. Last year we did our predictions and I had them top 5, and then the injuries derailed. This is the Grizzlies team I thought we'd see, but
Yeah.
Ja is awesome. They play good team ball, but they don't sell me a team that's top 3 in
Shout
the
out
West right
Jaden
now.
Wells too. Jalen Wells.
Jalen
Excuse me.
Wells, a Wazoo guy, baby. But the Warriors potentially could make a run. I could see it from the
Yeah.
sleepers,
Yeah.
but I think you're really looking at Thunder, Nuggets, Lakers for the
Yeah.
top 3 in the West for your
Okay.
teams.
Yeah. My sleepers. I agree with you on the front
Mhm.
runners, like completely. I don't even think there's another team that I'm like, ooh, I would include them. I don't know. But for sleepers in the East, I don't know. I feel like the Magic could low key make a run with their defense.
Mhm.
I think they've got some things to figure out offensively. I'm not saying they're gonna make it to the NBA championship or anything like that, but I think they could upset some teams. I think they're capable of that. Maybe knock off like a team like the Bucks. I
Mhm.
could totally see that. Or even like the Cavs, maybe. I don't know. Um, I think the Pacers could be a dark horse team. We've seen them, in the in-season tournament last year. They're capable of going on a big run. I could see the Pacers doing that. In the West, dark horse teams. I don't know, man. I know we said they took a step back this year with the Timberwolves, but I don't know, something about Ant. Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like he could put this team on a
Mhm.
run. Can't count him out. I also like the Warriors take. I think that's a
Mhm.
great take. And I don't know if this counts because you just said they're a title contender, but the Lakers low key
Mhm.
too. Like, can't doubt LeBron, right? Like, I don't know. I could see them
Yeah.
also being in the championship this year. So those are my dark horses.
I think the Magic were probably my dark horse out of the East, just because Franz Wagner got hurt
Yep.
and Ben Carroll got hurt, and they started the year very solid. But then when you lose your two top scorers,
Yeah.
but Ben Carroll's back.
Yep.
Wagner could be back postseason, depending. So they're kind of getting back into a rhythm. Yeah, they've always been a scary team. They have the pieces.
Yeah.
The Pacers are just a team that can get hot whenever, like we saw
Yep.
last year. So I agree with your dark horses there. I want to give a shout out to the Pistons because they had nine wins last year, and they're 2 games over 500, and they're the 6th seed in the East right now. So they've been playing good basketball. Cade Cunningham, great basketball. Tobias Harris, actually a good pickup, which I didn't expect when they got. I was
We've shit on him so much on this podcast.
Yeah, give him a flower, I guess, there, because they got better with him.
All right.
In the West, maybe the Spurs make a little magic.
Ooh,
Maybe.
Okay.
I would say the Warriors.
They could sneak in, so I like that take.
I would say the Warriors are probably my, dark horse team now for sure. Like, they can make a run,
especially with Jimmy.
Yeah, especially with Jimmy, man. It's scary, but I like the Ant take. When he's playing on, he can elevate a team just like Jimmy does.
Yep.
It'd be fun to see Fox and Wembanyama just go on a tear, though. Maybe upset or two.
Yeah, it would. It'd be
fun.
very fun.
Rockets, I don't see. The Grizzlies, I could see knocking off a team, but it's just so hard to beat a team in 7 games when they're at the top of their game, like the Thunder or like the Celtics. I don't know if the Bucks are even a crazy take to call a run team too, because I just don't feel like they're going that far. But if they made the finals, could you call that a dark horse run? Because I don't see them getting that far.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a case for dark horse.
Yeah.
I don't know. People might disagree. But.
Yeah, I know. I definitely would probably disagree, but I also don't think people are like, yep, they're finals. They're a finals team.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you could make a case that it's a dark horse, but. All right. Well, anything else for the NBA you want to talk about?
Man, I just want there to be a dunk contest with good players again. I'm tired of McClung coming out of the ice like Captain America, every year.
They're getting signed for like a 10-day deal or something.
Exactly, so he can be on a team. Like, I don't even know half the guys in the dunk contest anymore. It sucks. I want stars. I want fun.
Dude, all All-Star weekends fucking suck now.
Yeah,
let's just be honest. NBA All-Star weekend sucks. NFL All-Star weekend sucks. I think the only sport where it's somewhat fun still is the MLB, because people actually compete in the home run derby. Like, I don't actually watch the MLB All-Star game, but the home run derby, hell yeah, I'll watch that. Like, I think that's the only sport that has the All-Star weekend right now.
I think we'd be better in the NBA for the dunk contest, just finding 4 professional dunkers and letting them go at it. Like, how they have like the dunk shows, like on YouTube has like the dunk contest.
Well, if it's if you're letting G League guys in there,
might as well let
like
Guy Dupree, the guy that has like a 58-inch vertical and jumps over Ferraris. Like, let that guy go. Like, people would rather watch that, I think, than some no name from the G League that you haven't heard of. Like, I don't know. If you want entertainment, then either get your stars to do it or find people that can bring that.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, it's great to be back in the NBA, talking NBA with you. It was a fun podcast, talking the Super Bowl. Great year on the NFL. I felt like we had a great year of podcasting and covering it all. I feel like we just continue to get better in covering it. So excited for that. Yeah, I'm excited to next time we talk about NFL, it's probably going to be either free agency stuff or the draft stuff, which are 2 of my favorite things to talk about with the NFL. So I'm excited to talk about that. But for now, I'm going to be mainly more focused on the NBA and hip hop, of course, as always. But Kaden, thanks for hopping on, as always, man.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, As always, stay logical and rant that nonsense.